Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podcast, the Drafted Up Podcast, and this is the final episode we do before the NFL Draft, which is this Thursday, a whole 3 days away. Nicholas.
Bernard.
How you doing?
Great, dude. We're here. This is the last of the 2025 draft classes. This is it, dude. We've grinded through, watched tape and made a list on a list of prospects. It all comes down to this. This is
it. It all culminates today. We're giving you our final mock draft, our
2 rounds.
third mock draft, and it is a 2-rounder for sure. Social media, you know where to find us at draftedup_pod over on Twitter. More importantly, the show is on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts, or you can watch it on YouTube. Search Drafted Up Podcast, like, rate, subscribe, review, share, all that good stuff. We always appreciate you kind folks that follow the show.
Love them. That's why we're here. We're doing it for them.
Yeah, we're doing it for the everyman. We are the everyman's draft
Exactly.
podcast.
We are the casual man's casual scouts. So we'll tell you how we think about these guys. Yes. We're doing 2 rounds, so we're doing, what does that come out to, like 64
picks.
64?
Yep. Yeah. Gonna buy the rights to Dusty Rhodes' theme song, and that's gonna be the new song of the podcast, because we are...
You have fun with that. I don't know if I'm off enough to help you fund the theme song of Dusty Rhodes. So
yeah, we'll just rip it off. Yeah. No one will know.
There we go. We'll get like a guy to make a parody of it, and then we'll change up the beat just a little bit.
Yeah, we'll do what WCW did years ago, where they just altered the tune just a little bit and pretty much get Nirvana for Diamond Dallas Page, except we're getting Dusty Rhodes for the podcast. All right. You ready for this bad boy?
Let's get it, dude. How we doing picks? You doing odds? I'll do evens.
I'll do odds this time. Yeah, you did odds when we did the back and forth the first time, and then last time we did a joint situation. So this time I'll do the odd teams. You got the evens. Let's share this screen here. And once that's up, and add it.
Phenomenal audio on our end.
We'll be good to go, yeah. I'm just waiting for the screen to pop. Can you see the screen?
I cannot.
You cannot. Oh, boy. Well, it says it's sharing. So, can you usually see it when it... Okay, it's there. Okay, it's cool. Cool. All right.
We're back. We're back, baby.
Yes. This is what happens when you spend all your money to try to get a TV deal, and you decide you wasted there. You have no producer. It's just me here. I'm the man behind the chair.
Yeah, we need a Ned Leeds up in here.
Yeah. All right. 2 rounds. We got the mock draft simulator up. We're going to go back and forth. We'll do trades on this one where we deem necessary. Let's enter the draft.
Oh, before we do get into this, we did kind of lay out to where we know where the quarterbacks are going, just to make this a little bit easier on us. So whenever we get to those picks, we'll just make it easier for us and just quick announce them and then talk why we're picking the quarterback and whatnot, yada, yada.
Yep. Yeah.
Just makes it a little bit easier for us folks here.
That and, we didn't want to forget about a guy and, last minute we're trying to force Tyler Shucker, Jalen Milroe, or someone to a team.
Yeah, indeed.
All right, so I'm up 1 here. Tennessee Titans, obviously going to go Travis Hunter.
I mean, best guy on your board, so yeah.
He is top of my board. This is a what we think is going to happen.
This is not what we would do.
Yeah. But even still, I would pick Cam Ward if this was what I would do, despite the fact he's not number 1 on my board. Tennessee's offseason, they've laid it out perfectly to set up Cam Ward. They brought in offensive line help. So that's where we're going here. We're drafting Cam Ward, the quarterback from Miami to Tennessee at 1. We're not going to overthink it. We're going to make it happen.
I think these first 3 picks, to be honest, are pretty almost locked in the stone, and there's not much overthinking them. To my opinion, that is. I think
I
four
agree.
kind of. I think four kind of is where the draft really starts. So speaking of, I got Cleveland here at 2. I'm just gonna go with Travis Hunter. Everything that is coming out now from the media and reports, everyone in the league knows it's gonna be Travis Hunter here at 2. So why would I be the one to not go that way? I think it's almost locked in. He's your player 1 on the board. He's my player 2. Him going 2 just makes sense to me. He's so good. And the Browns need a receiver. Their only receiver is really Jerry Jeudy. He had 90 catches last year. And besides him, their number 2 receiver had 29 catches. So the difference between 90 and 29, that's huge.
Yeah.
Travis Hunter makes such an impact on that receiving crew. And then 2 of their 3 corners are free agents at the end of the year. Denzel Ward is always hurt. He's never had a full season in the NFL.
He's always on the trade block, too. They're always talking about moving him.
Also true. So Travis Hunter just helps on both sides of the ball here wherever they need him to fit in. He's so valuable. He's a lock here, too.
Yeah. His best shot to do the whole two-way thing, to me, is in Cleveland. They need help on both sides of the ball. Love Cedric Tillman, but he's not the answer as the second option behind Jerry Jeudy. I don't even think Jerry Judy's the option as the number 1 receiver. I know he was fine last year.
He's a good number 2.
Yeah, Travis Hunter helps open up this offense and then gives them really good depth at corner. And then next year they can reevaluate whether he plays more time at corner, with them likely lose Greg Newsome and Martin Emerson, both free agents, and maybe Denzel Ward's gone. All right, I'm picking a 3 here for your New York Giants.
Don't mess up.
Quarterback is not an option for me here. I just don't value Sanders or Dart here, which we brought up on the big board episode. And putting my personal opinions aside, I also don't think the Giants go that route with a talent like Abdul Carter on the board. He is one of the true blue chip prospects in this class. He is number 1 on your big board, I believe. So congratulations. You're getting your number 1 player, Abdul Carter, the edge rusher from Penn State, going to the Giants. Gives them depth at the position with Thibodeau and Brian Burns. And Thibodeau, his contract's coming up as well, so it's not forcing their hands into having to re-sign him. And it gives them a nice rotation, which is a kickback to the Giants of old, where they just always had a deep defensive line pass rush rotation. It gets them 3 really good pass rushers with Thibodeau, Burns, and now Abdul Carter.
Hell yeah, dude. That was the backbone of our Super Bowl runs back in the day when we were wildcard teams. We had Eli. It was our defensive line that just kept us going. It was Michael Strahan, OC, Justin Tuck, Matthias Kiwanuka. We were so deep at edge. It was crazy. And for us to have Burns, Thibodeau, and then Abdul Carter, our third down rush would be one of the best in the NFL with Dexter Lawrence as the 4th guy on that line. Dude, we would be rushing the quarterback like no other. And look how the Eagles won the Super Bowl. They won with so much help from the defensive line, getting to the quarterback without blitzing. It's a very valuable thing at the NFL. And in order to stop that pass rush, New England would have to get an offensive line, and they could not stop any bit of defensive rush last year. Drake May and what is his name? I'm blanking on it.
Jacoby Brissett.
Jacoby Brissett were getting body bagged. That offensive line could not stop anyone. It looked like that old commercial where Matt Hasselbeck was the quarterback and his offensive linemen were literally pee-wee kids. And the guys were just monstering over these kids, dude. So New England's got to get tremendous help on that offensive line. And I do not care if you think Will Campbell is a guard or a tackle, whatever anyone's opinion is. I think Will Campbell is going to go 4 here. Even if he doesn't pan out to be their tackle that they think he can be, he can slide in the guard. He's going to be fine at guard. I don't think it's a huge issue for him. He's my offensive lineman 1 in the draft, so I get why he's going early. Sure, he's not as good as like last year's class or the year before, but Will Campbell is an elite offensive lineman. At the next level, yeah, it might not be a tackle. It might be a guard. But regardless, you need to protect Drake May. There's 5 guys protecting him. Will Campbell's going to be one of them. So lock in Will Campbell here for.
Yeah. And I know they need weapons, too, for Drake, but you'll be able to find running back help later. I know I've teased Ashton Jeanty here to 4, and if it happens, it would not surprise me.
I'd be fine with it. Yeah, I'd be fine with it.
Even Tedero McMillan, I personally don't think he goes top 10. when I put out my own final mock. I don't think he's going to be in my top 10, but if he is picked at 4, I also get that. They need receiving help for this guy. Maybe they think a tackle falls to them at 38 or they try to trade back in, but I think they're more likely to be able to move back in or find a weapon at 38 and go from there. So I like going Will Campbell here. They need a left tackle. He could slide in to guard. They need a left guard as well. So
exactly. They need a whole left side of the line.
Potentially 2 needs for them down the line. It solidifies at least one of them.
Yes, sir.
Right,
yeah,
so
I think it's a lock for New England, to be honest. I think Will Campbell's going to go 4.
Yeah. Unless someone, like, maybe if Abdul Carter falls to 4, maybe they move. I think that's a possibility.
That's a whole different scenario. Yeah.
All right, Jacksonville.
So Jacksonville's. This has been fun the last 2 days with what's going on here with Jacksonville. It's Mason Graham has just been chalk for months. Now it's kind of coming out with offensive weapons are leaning the way for Jacksonville.
Yeah, so
I like that report.
I have it down to 3 guys here, and it's Ashton Jeanty, which off camera I've been bringing up that I think him to Jacksonville is a real sneaky pick, and I think something that could happen. I also think the possibility of someone moving up to 5 to steal Jeanty away from Vegas is also a possibility. Maybe Chicago really likes Jeanty or Dallas, and they try to jump him. We're not going to do that here, but Jeanty's in play here. Mason Graham, obviously, chalk. Jacksonville needs run defense help. They were really bad last year there. Mason Graham makes sense, but they also need pass rush help. They have 2 good pass rushers, Hines Allen, Trayvon Walker. I think they do need another name in the room, and I think that would be Javon Walker. It would come down to those 3 guys, but I honestly think the whole Mason Graham not going 5 is just kind of draft fatigue. I think it's just kind of people trying to spice it up because it's just been something we've set in stone for so long. And they're just trying to come up with new ways. And that's what mock drafts do. But I think at the end of the day, Jacksonville does go in the trenches. New regime. Gladstone was over with the Rams last year where they drafted Jared Verse and Braden Fisk, and that was a huge step in them retooling their defense. Mason Graham, similar to Braden Fisk, he's a shorter arm interior defensive lineman. So I do think that's the route they go. I think they just stay and take Mason Graham, the interior defensive lineman from Michigan.
Yeah, I think it's the safest pick, and I would have it down to those 3 guys, but I would also throw Tet in there. We've talked about that a lot. I think Tet and BTJ are just 2 big body receivers that play 2 completely different games. And that's when Trevor Lawrence was at his best in college. He had 2 huge receivers because he's not the most accurate quarterback. So for him to have that wider target to hit, it really helps out Trevor Lawrence a lot in the long run. I don't think they go with Tet, but I think Tet would be in the conversation.
Yeah, all right, that puts you up at 6 with the Las Vegas Raiders.
Oh, man. Jeanty is a true chalk pick here. And I'm not, truly crazy about it.
Bad take.
I know you've locked it in, but I think there's, I'm going to end up picking Jeanty here just because of how chalk it is, and this is what we think's going to happen. But I think there's a legitimate chance that Oakland looks defensive end interior line. I think the edge guys are going to fly off the board way sooner than we think, being Malik Williams, Shamar Stewart, Walter Nolan, Derek Harmon, guys like that I think are going to be going by 15 to 17 in the real draft. It's obviously harder to do that in mock drafts and get the predictions right and get the spots right. But Walker would also be a spot here. I think Walker could go 6 to Vegas. I think he can go 4 to New England, 5 to Jacksonville, 6 to Vegas. Walker's window is insane in this draft, and I'm super excited to see where he goes. But yeah, like I said, I'm going to go with Jeanty here, giving Pete Carroll the guy to just ride that offense that he had with Marshawn Lynch. They're 2 completely different backs, but Jeanty's on every down back at the next level. He's a completely different runner. Geno's going to eat that up, dude. And he just opens up that offense so much more for Brock Bowers, Jacoby Myers, for these guys that can actually cook. Jacoby Myers is a truly underrated receiver in the NFL. Sure, he's not a number 1. He's a really good number 2, though. But Jeanty would go to Vegas with Geno, Pete Carroll, that new coaching staff, that new system. Vegas could cook, dude. I'm not going to say they're making a playoff run or anything, but they're looking good.
Yeah, Pete Carroll's not there to
rebuild.
Start a rebuild. This is
No,
a
he is
situation where they want to win football games, and that's been my mindset here with this Vegas pick, is that Pete Carroll has thrived with a rushing attack, and they need a running. Like, he's not going to win games with Sincere McCormick, and I think that's where Ashton Jeanty comes in play here and becomes this game winner for them, like Marshawn Lynch was for Pete in Seattle.
Yeah, for sure. I would love that for Vegas, dude. It opens up their offense. They could snag another receiver later in the draft. It's not really a necessity with Geno. He can sling the ball pretty well, and he's going to hit Brock Bowers a ton this season. So they really have their number one receiver when it comes to Brock Bowers.
Yeah. All right, Jets at 7. This is two guys for me, and it's offensive tackle Armin Membu and Penn State tight end Tyler Warren. Membu shores up this line that the Jets have been just building for years. They drafted Fashanu last year. He's going to be now the starting left tackle. They drafted Joel Tippmann a few years ago. He's in at center. They drafted Elijah Vera Tucker, who's playing right guard. So I think they need to shore up the tackles here. So Membu is in play. They moved on from Morgan Moses. So I think he is a likely option, but the fact that they were so in and so close to getting Brock Bowers last year in the 2024 draft makes me lean that they are still in on that position, and that's why I'm going to go with Tyler Warren here. Really help Justin Fields out. Like, I think that is the goal here, is to see in these 2 years what Justin Fields can do for this franchise. Let's get in weapons. He really only has Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall right now. He didn't have a ton of help in Pittsburgh. He didn't have any help in Chicago. So I think the Jets are going to lay the foundation for Justin Fields, get him some weapons. And the line can be a little shaky because Fields can evade the pocket. He can move around. So I don't think right tackle is something they have to address at 7. I think Tyler Warren here is the pick and gives them another option, sans Garrett Wilson, for Justin Fields.
Yeah, no, I think you made the right call. But just like Jacksonville, New England, and Vegas, I think Jalen Walker's on the Jets board too. Aaron Glenn is a defensive mind freak. And if he would be able to add Jalen Walker, Aaron Glenn is literally the Ben Johnson of defense. That is a key for him to be able to just move around, freak out offenses. Is he blitzing? Is he not? What's he doing? He would add a lot to the Jets defense. But he's going right here to Carolina. I'm going Jalen Walker, defensive end, linebacker. This is what Carolina's defense is missing. They're missing Brian Burns, essentially. They got rid of Brian Burns a couple years ago, thankfully, to the New York Giants, and I'm very grateful for it. But Jalen Walker's like an elite pass rusher. Sure, he's not a prototypical kind of guy, but he gets the job done. His football IQ is up there, probably among the top 4 or 5 guys in this draft class. He is so smart. I'm super excited to see how a coordinator uses him. Hopefully it's in the right way and they're not having him play straight linebacker, but I really like it here, dude. I think 8's a pretty good range for him.
Yeah, Avero, the defensive coordinator for the Panthers, is real creative. He always schemed things up, guys moving around when he was in Denver. And now he's got some pieces here with Jalen Walker that he can do that with in Carolina. He didn't really have that this past year. He may do with guys like Josie Joel, who played well. So, and they've shored up their defensive line through free agency. They brought in Wharton. They brought in Bobby Brown. So, and they already have Derek Brown. So they got a good front 3. So let's get some juice on there. I think Jalen Walker, I think him to Carolina is a great pick. I would say it's going to come down to him and like Mykel Williams for me when I do my final mock at this spot.
I would throw Shamar Stewart into that range. But yeah, it's going to be one of those freak edge rushers. That's what Carolina's going.
All right, so I'm up now. New Orleans at 9. News has come out about Derek Carr. I don't know if we brought that up, where like he might not even play this year. We don't know what's going on with his shoulder.
So a little bit.
Quarterback. might be in play. I just don't think the Saints are going to take one in the top 10. And I've been on that mindset that if I think they're going to draft a quarterback in the first round, I think they're going to get something of an impact at 9 and try to move back in to get said quarterback. So they got rid of Marshawn Lattimore. New Orleans plays a ton of zone defense. So I think Will Johnson to the Saints is a perfect pairing. And that's where I'm going to go here. Will Johnson, the corner from Michigan, off the board, 9 to New Orleans.
Yeah, they just need any type of pass help for that secondary, dude. And Will Johnson's going to bring that to them for sure. I like it a lot. I don't think they're going to take a quarterback until 40. That's their second round pick. From what I hear, they're not really eager to move back into the first. They're kind of just content with whatever falls to them.
Mm-hmm.
So that just means that they really like this draft class, but like they don't really care if it's the third quarterback or the fifth quarterback. One will be there at 40 most likely.
And in real life, if they don't take one at 40, I think that's them showing their faith in Kellen Moore to either develop Spencer Rattler or go get their guy next year, which I think could be Garrett Nussmeier. His dad is the offensive coordinator in New Orleans, so that's a pairing to keep an eye on for in 2026. But that puts you up at 10 now with Chicago, who's got a ton of picks.
It's really hard to predict the future, but next year's quarterback class is looking tremendously stacked compared to this year's. So it's just give or take. New Orleans seems to be that they think they can win now with what they have. So, and there's a lot of love for Spencer Rattler in that building. I can tell you that much. So I am up here with Chicago. They have a ton of picks. They have pick 39 and 41.
Mm-hmm.
So like, sure, you can look at like running back. Hampton's still here. Sure. That would be the juicy piece for Ben Johnson. I get it. I really don't think it's going to happen here. I think Chicago's going to use this pick to really just spice up that defensive line, get after that quarterback, and then use pick 39 or 41 to go get a running back or a tight end or a flashy piece for Ben Johnson. It'll happen at some point in this draft. I don't think it's going to happen at 10. But 10, I'm going Malik Williams. Yeah, Mikael Williams, from Georgia, edge rusher. He is a freak, dude. His body is crazy. His traits are out of this world. NFL teams are going to love this guy. He is going to go so early on Thursday. He's probably going to be gone by 14. That's probably I don't see him falling 15. He's not really going to fall far. He's going to be one of the first 3 or 4 edge guys off the board.
If he's there at Indy's pick, I think that is a likely scenario. They love. He's a perfect pairing with Laiatu Latu, but I like Mikael Williams 10 to Chicago. I think he's got a wide range as well. Like I said, I would put him in play at 8 to Carolina. So 11 here, San Francisco. This is easy. Armand Membu has fallen into my lap. The Niners need offensive line help. Usually I don't get a chance to go tackle here unless it's like Kelvin Banks where it's a little bit of a reach, but Membu here available at 11 is the Niners are licking their chops. I think if he does even fall past the Jets, I think the Niners are going to be on the phone with Carolina trying to move up for Membu because I think Carolina, there's a possibility Jalen Walker makes it to 11. That's a realm where that could go down. I don't know if necessarily New Orleans would take him. Chicago, maybe they do need edge help. But Membu here to San Francisco. Don't even overthink it. Get a right tackle and start shoring up this offensive line because you got to start hitting on these draft picks because you're going to be paying Brock Purdy pretty soon.
Yeah, and they're going to be paying him a bunch, dude. So it's now or never for San Fran to start hitting on some of these guys because $50 million to Brock Purdy is going to take away a lot of his weapons, dude.
That puts you up 12 with Dallas.
With Dallas, there's a whole bunch of reports that Dallas is going to go receiver, running back, and flashy pick. I am leaning towards a wide receiver, being Tetairoa McMillan or Matthew Golden. Golden's a little bit more exactly like CeeDee Lamb, so I think Tetairoa McMillan opens up that offense in a way different way than just pairing 2 slot receivers. Golden plays outside, but he moves around like a slot receiver. He's quick, he's twitchy, he's in between routes, he cuts fast, he breaks fast. Tetairoa McMillan is just a huge, big body slot receiver, can run over the middle, cross over the routes.
They don't have a big guy. in this
No,
receiving
and
room.
they haven't had a big guy since like Des Bryant was on the team, dude. It's just been a huge missing piece to that offense. I really like Tedero McMillan. He's in my top 10 of prospects this year. So I'm locking him into Dallas. Unfortunately, Giants fan got to play Tedero McMillan twice a year. I'm not too thrilled about that.
All right.
That's like receiver's real chalky though for like Dallas. So like real quick, they could go edge for sure. Interior defensive line: Walter Nolan, Derek Harmon, Kenneth Grant. It's a little early for Kenneth Grant, but sure. Mike Green. They could go a whole lot. Donovan Ezeraku.
I would say Kelvin Banks is in play here too.
For sure. He could kick inside. He could play guard for the year. He could kick out the tackle if they would need be. He's a very offensive lineman that can move around the board, which is nice. He's very versatile.
All right. Miami up at 13.
All right. So who ran a 4.2? Who's really fast here?
Maxwell Hairston. They need corner help.
That is true. Dude flew out the building, dude.
I saw a mock, I think it was on NFL.com, and it had Janty going to Miami at 13. And like, okay.
That would be insane.
Him and Devon Achane, but I don't know how that works.
Yeah, what a waste of a pick for a team that needs so much more than a running back.
Yeah, we're probably looking to move on from Jalen Ramsey here, so corners in play.
I'd go like corner, offensive line help a ton.
Yeah.
Because what's his face left? Armstead isn't for sure what he's doing.
Yeah, he retired. That's officially announced.
Oh, it's locked. He's gone.
Yeah. So Patrick Paul is going to be the left tackle now.
Yeah.
Though I don't understand why they wouldn't put their better tackle at right tackle because they have a left-handed quarterback, but I guess they're trusting Austin Jackson out there at right.
Mm-hmm.
They lost Javon Holland to the Giants, so I think Malachi Starks and Nick Emanwari's in play here. And Emanwari's interesting because he had that freak workout. So Miami just loves those athletes. So
I really, really like going Kevin Winston for the Dolphins in the second. Getting that huge downhill, big body.
Mm-hmm.
Huge safety that just flies across the box, dude.
Yeah.
I like that in the second where I could scoop up a corner or a really good offensive lineman here to fit one of those huge needs for Miami.
I actually think I'm going to try and replace Christian Wilkins on the inside. I think they need some defensive line help. I'm going to go with Walter Nolan to the Dolphins here. Try to get some penetration from the inside. Pair well with Zach Seiler on the defensive line. So Walter Nolan here to the Dolphins at 13.
I like it. So we could go super chalk here and go Colston Loveland, but I honestly don't think that's going to happen. I don't think the Colts believe that they're just a tight end away of fixing their offense. It's their quarterback, and that's their problem, and I think they do know that.
The Colts have needed a tight end for
Forever.
7 years, and they haven't brought one in.
Exactly. Dallas Clark left, and they just never have filled that need since. They brought in Eric Ebron off the street that one year, and he had 15 touchdowns, and it was amazing for fantasy football.
How dare you besmirch Jack Doyle?
Oh, Jack Doyle and Mo Alley Cox. Oh,
Mo Alley Cox still there.
Somehow he's still there. 48-year-old Mo Alley Cox, dude.
He's so big. So big.
You brought up Mikel Williams going to Indianapolis. I think they do go edge rusher here. So I'm going to guys like Mike Green, Donovan Ezeraku, James Pierce. I think James Pierce, on-field and off-field stuff isn't going to be a thing the Colts are too particularly fond of. Mike Green also comes with a little bit of that, but it's not. It's obviously a horrendous situation, but Mike Green is very open and adamant about it, and he showed up at the combine and answered every single question about it, and apparently he blew NFL teams away. So I don't think Mike Green really comes with as much baggage as James Pierce does. Ezeraku comes with none of it, though. He comes ready to play.
You don't think Shamar Stewart's in play here? Because Ezeraku's kind of similar to Latu. Their finesse.
But I think that's what they want. I think they just want guys that are already polished. I don't think they want guys that they need to fully devote time in to develop. Ezeraku is ready day one to go tomorrow. He could literally start tomorrow and be a 4-down, 3-down defensive end at the next level. To where Shamar Stewart, you kind of have to develop and kind of push along. I think Ezeraku is going to be more of the Colts fit here. So I'm going to lock in Ezeraku.
All right. Donovan Ezeraku, 14 to Indianapolis. That puts me 15 with the Atlanta Falcons. And Mike Green is just sitting here. And the Falcons have needed edge help for years, and they've just never addressed the position. So I think that changes here. That all their coaching staff at the combine, it was only defense. They didn't send any of their offensive unit to the combine. They'd sent only defensive guys. They interviewed only defensive players. So I think the route they go is defense. And the three guys, they're just right there in a row. Mike Green, Jahdae Barron, Jihad Campbell, I think are the three guys in play here. And I am going to go with Mike Green. I think Atlanta needs juice. And Mike Green is the juiciest pass rusher. He's got the best skill set outside Abdul Carter. He's in my top 10, so a great value here at 15, and Atlanta finally gets some edge help.
Which is something they need desperate, dude. And again, Atlanta's a team that I'm hearing everything that they do not care about. A good amount of these edge rushers, on-field and off-field issues, being Mike Green, James Pierce, Walter Nolan. So I'm in belief that Atlanta is just going to draft the best defensive lineman that is on their board come draft day. And that's what they need, dude. So I totally get it. So that puts me up here with Arizona, I believe.
Yes, Arizona at 16, the Cardinals.
Alrighty. So I'm looking at wide receivers. I'm looking at cornerbacks. Their wide receiver room is Marvin Harrison, obviously, and their number 2 is Michael Wilson with Zay Jones as their slot. So it's nothing really to be happy about.
Oh, they brought back Greg Dortch. They fixed that problem.
Sure, Greg Dortch, the best number 4 or 5 receiver in football. But, man, their corners terrify me, dude. Max Melton as their right, Garrett Williams as their nickel, and then Sean Button Murphy as their left. That's scary, dude. Jahad Barron's sitting here. He's kind of like
Max Melton. I also like Garrett Williams.
I don't like Garrett Williams as a full-time starting corner.
Oh, I do. I think he's a good
Max
nickel.
Melton,
but
I
am worried about Sean Murphy bunting.
He's just a straight nickel that leaves their whole outside. Like, Max Melton's good, don't get me wrong. But do you really want to just rely on Max Melton?
No,
he has no help.
They did that last year, and Max Melton had a rough rookie
He
go.
struggled, dude. Like, I'm sure you have Budda Baker over the top, one of the best safeties in football. But if you could just add Jahad Barron to the other side and just not really worry about it, sure, he's more of a nickel-y kind of guy. But we brought up Jahad Barron could play outside if you really asked him to.
Mm-hmm.
And like after him, it's kind of just like a drop in the corner board, which kind of terrifies me for the Cardinals in the second round. Like we said, we're doing a 2-round mock here. So I can kind of plan ahead where I'm looking at receiver in the second round. I'm looking at offensive line in the second round, defensive line. I think all of those positions are way stronger than cornerback in the second round.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to lock in Jahad Barron here, Texas cornerback.
All right, Barron to the Cardinals at 16. That puts me up here, 17, Cincinnati Bengals.
Speaking of defense.
I wouldn't rule out guard here.
I would say guard in the second.
Yeah.
I would say they have to go some type of defensive help.
I am looking edge defensive line help here, so I think Kenneth Grant's in play. I think Shamar Stewart is in play. I think those are really the two guys.
I would say James Pierce. They're another team
I
don't
also
care about on and
I
off
also
field stuff.
think they would be in play on Malachi Starks. But I'm the Bengals just love those big time edge rushers, and they just lost Sam Hubbard, who's a really good run defender, okay pass rusher. So I'm going to lean to Shamar Stewart here, who has juice, unlike Sam Hubbard. So maybe he ends up sliding into the Trey Hendrickson role because who knows what's going on with him there in Cincinnati. I think they're going to work out a deal. I think Hendrickson will be back. But at 17 here, I am going to go with Texas A&M edge rusher Shamar Stewart to the Cincinnati Bengals.
I hope Hendrickson finds a way back there, dude. That defense is already in shambles. And that offense is going to have to put up 30, 40 points a game to fucking win games. if they would lose their best edge rusher, dude, that would be a devastating blow to that defense.
Mm-hmm. Before you make the pick here for Seattle at 18, we got to give a shout out to our friends over at W Energy. Forgot to do that last week on the big board episode. We got a little caught up in that. So extra shout out to our friends over at W Energy. Clean, efficient energy. It's jitterless energy, full ingredient disclosure, no dyes, no artificial stuff like that. This is clean, good energy. They got a ton of flavors. Go check them out. I love the blueberry fruit punch type ordeal that they got with one of the animes out there. They got Dub Sludge, which is another one I like, which is caramel apple. They've got a strawberry guava coconut. They've got a blue raspberry, just a straight blue raspberry, and a ton of other stuff. And if you're not a caffeine fiend, they have hydration line, so you can give you a little boost to your water as you stay hydrated throughout the day. So check out our friends over at Dubby. That's Dubby, D-U-B-B-Y. You can look them up on the App Store. They have an app. You can order from there, or you can go to their site. That's Dubby.gg. And of course, use the promo code DRAFTEDUP for a nice 10% discount. Be better with W Energy. Eat that dub.
Hey, TJ, tell me what anime is sponsored on that one.
I don't know.
I didn't expect you to know, dude. I'm just fucking with you.
Solo Leveling. So I don't know what that is, but shout out to them. Anime, not my thing, but the flavor's delicious.
Hell yeah, that's all that really matters.
All right, Seattle Seahawks 18. The pick sponsored by W Energy.
So we've had a good amount of defensive runs picked here. It's been 5 guys in a row. It's been all defense. Nolan, Ezraku, Green, Barron, Stewart. Theoretically, it could continue here with an edge guy. Seattle was in desperate need of an edge guy.
I wouldn't say desperate. They got DeMarcus Lawrence. They got Boye Mafe. Leonard Williams.
Leonard Williams is like an interior guy.
He plays defensive end for them.
Yeah, but sure, Leonard Williams is old. So is Dexter Lawrence. So like these guys are DeMarcus Lawrence, Mafe. These are like rotation guys. James Pierce though isn't their style, so I'm knocking off edge. If like Stewart was there or Ezraku, I would be more prone to take an edge. I don't think they're going to take James Pierce, so that takes that off the board. Seattle literally lost 3 of their 5 offensive line. Sure, they brought in Cooper Kupp to fill in a receiver spot, so receiver's another need, but I think offensive line is a huge, desperate need. So I'm looking at guys like Tyler Booker, who's a straight interior guy. Kelvin Banks Jr. could kick inside and play both. Greg Zabel can kick inside and play both. Greg Zabel's usually the pick here, but Kelvin Banks is usually off the board by now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go with Banks here. I like that a little bit more than just going chalk with Zabel.
And Abe Lucas is always hurt at right tackle.
And this
and
gives
Charles
them tackle
Cross is always hurt at left
Exactly,
tackle.
Dude. As much as I love Zabel, he's not going to be able to kick in and play tackle or kick out and play tackle. He did it all his college career, but he's going to play guard and center at the next level. To where Kelvin Banks can play guard, but he can also play tackle. That's just a little more versatility that I like compared to a straight inside center guard combination. Give me the guard, give me the tackle, give me Kelvin Banks.
All right, I like that there to Seattle at 18. Plus, their GM doesn't value interior offensive line. Like he's come out and said that's like a position he's not spending a premium pick on. Whereas now he can kind of sway that to I took an offensive tackle.
Oh, he can play outside. We're gonna play him at we're gonna play him at guard this year, but
we're gonna play him whatever gives us our best 5 out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep,
exactly.
Bucks at 19. This is 3 guys to me. It's Jihad Campbell.
Okay.
It's Maxwell Hairston, the corner from Kentucky. And then I think Colston Loveland's in play here. Cade Otton was fine. He had a good year. But then once the other guys got healthy, Cade Otton was kind of phased out. He's not really that true blue receiving threat at tight end. Whereas Colston Loveland gives them a different type of player at the position.
He's just
similar
a
to
way
like,
more reliable tight end threat.
yeah,
Like,
similar to like Brock Bowers did. Like Vegas didn't need
Yeah.
a tight end necessarily. They had Michael Mayer, but they drafted Brock Bowers. Talent was too good, and look how that turned out.
but I mean, that gives you a good option to run like a weird 2 receiver, 2 tight ends and a back combination. Like you could have Kate Otten and Colston Loveland out there.
Mm-hmm.
I would keep the safeties in mind for Tampa Bay, being Starks and Imaware. I think a big downhill safety to pair next to the Winslow Jr. would be huge for that defense. But I do like Hairston and Campbell as well. They really could go any level of defense, being linebackers, defensive backs. They're just hurting for defense at this point.
But I am going to lead Jihad Campbell. He's a perfect pairing with
I love that fit.
old man Levante David there in Tampa Bay. So we're going to go with Jihad Campbell here to the Bucs at 19. That puts you on the clock with the Denver Broncos at 20.
Gonna make your least favorite pick, TJ. I just love Omarion Hampton here to Denver. I think he's gonna go first round. I've been saying that I think he's way closer to Genti than people are giving him credit for. So if I want him to go first round, I don't really think there's many spots after this, to be honest.
There's a spot,
And
2 spots later.
I said many. Calm down. There's a couple, but not a lot. But I think them getting Najee, I don't think they would take Hampton. I think they spent money in free agents. It was like $7 to $11 million, depending on bonuses. Denver hasn't done jack shit. They literally let a running back leave. Sean Payton values running backs so much, and the way he uses them is so dynamic. And there's not a thing on the football field Omarion Hampton can't do. He is a true every down running back with great hands, great speed, great explosiveness. You pair that with Sean Payton, and come on, dude, that opens up the offense so much for Bo Nix, dude.
Matthew Golden not in play here. He's like the type of receiver they don't have on the roster.
Sure, but if I'm taking like an offensive playmaker, just in my head, Hampton's so much better than Golden.
Okay.
Golden kind of worries me. There's not a worry in the world about Hampton.
All right, that's the pick.
Yeah, I already picked it on my end.
Okay, my gripe with that pick is Omarion Hampton just doesn't feel like a Sean Payton running back to me. Like my Sean Payton running backs in my eyes are these flashy, more Travion Henderson types. That's where I think Denver's ultimately going to go. Like I think this is a good trade back spot. And if a team thinks Pittsburgh might take Shadur or Jackson Dart, I think a team might move up here. And Denver, if they're at 33 or 34, if it's you guys or Cleveland, Travion Henderson should theoretically be available at that selection. And
for sure,
that's where I think they go in my personal eye. I more so just hate it because I think Henderson's a better scheme fit to Sean Payton, but who am I to doubt Sean Payton? Bo Nix worked out wonderful, so Hampton could theoretically prove me wrong and be
Bo Nix was like
Sean
that perfect
Payton
quarterback
style.
for that system. Bo Nix blended into that system perfectly. He's just a Sean Payton kind of guy in my eyes.
Pittsburgh at 21.
Where are we leaning?
I regret
There's a
picking
ton of ways.
odds.
Like sure, Shadur's in the conversation here, but I don't think that's going to happen.
No, I also don't think they're going to take a quarterback.
And like running back's one of their needs, and I get that. I don't think it's going to happen the first, but I will guarantee Pittsburgh takes one within the first 4 rounds of this draft. They're drafting a running back.
I think if Omarion Hampton was here, they would pick him. But
yeah, maybe he's a difference running back for sure.
You took that off the board. Josh Simmons, there's some rumored offensive stuff or off-field stuff for him. So I don't know if Pittsburgh wants to spend another premium pick on a tackle. So I'm kind of leaning Kenneth Grant. Sure up the interior of that defense. It needs help there. So and he's pretty much there's a big tier break after him. Derek Harmon's there too. So
Derek Harmon's
ranked
there.
so low. So I actually think I'm going to lean Derek Harmon. He gives them a little more juice than Kenneth Grant does. They're just disrespecting Derek Harmon here at PFF. What are you guys doing? Derek
I was
Harmon.
going to ask about Harmon. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going there, get some help on the defensive line. Cameron Hayward is getting older and older every day. He's pushing a walker at
So
this point. Is out
so
there.
good though.
Yeah, he's still good. But Derek Harmon gets them some good juice on the line there. They need it.
Mm-hmm.
So Derek Harmon here to Pittsburgh at 21. And that puts you up
Yeah,
at 22 with the Chargers.
I love that fit, dude. I think Pittsburgh is going to focus on defensive line early in this draft and then scoop up running back or Shadur if he falls, but they don't have a second, so that kind of throws a wrench into the whole Pittsburgh thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I am up here with the Chargers. Colson Loveland is here, correct? Yes, very chalk pick. Super chalk pick, but I do get it a lot. It does open up that offense a bunch for Justin Herbert. For sure. But, man, I really like defensive end here, dude. Let's see. Let's check the edge board real quick before I make any decisions.
But, like, is Harbaugh going to...
No, exactly. I thought Stewart was here. You took Stewart. I forgot you took Stewart. Really throws a wrench into the system. Kenneth Grant's here. Michigan guy.
So's Colson. So's Colson Loveland.
Yeah. Is that going to happen, though? I just don't think it happens. So it's a hard time for me to make that pick because I don't think it's going to happen. And this is like a what we think's going to happen mock.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a better chance they go receiver over tight end.
Matthew Golden?
Golden or Abuka. I would go one of those guys. You
don't worry that idealistically they're the same sort of player as Lad McConkey?
I don't, because I think that's the kind of system that Hardball wants. I don't think he really wants like a guy like Cujo.
They got the big guy. They got Quentin Johnson and Mike Williams, so they have big body receivers.
They got him, but are they talented?
Yeah.
That's the question. Let me tell you something real quick, just off topic. Our lads, the depth chart website would be amazing. Too many ads, killing the vibe. Bad website. I'm going to change. I'm just going to go with Kenneth Grant. They play a 3-4, so he can slide around a little bit on that line. He does add line versatility. And they could really use an upgrade on 2 of the 3 defensive line spots. So I'm going to go with Kenneth Grant.
All right. That puts me up Green Bay at 23. And I've been thinking about this pick ahead of time because I know the Packers can be a little tough to pick for. I think Matthew Golden is in play. I think Maxwell Hairston is in play. And I would lean to them being the top 2 picks for the Packers. We got questions with Jair Alexander. Will he be there? Won't he be there? That corner room's just been a mess for years. Matthew Golden, he's not really a number 1 receiver, and that's Green Bay's type. Not a number 1. But
yeah, for sure.
I think if Green Bay goes receiver, they need a bigger guy. So I think they would be looking more at Alec Ayamanor and Jaden Higgins in round 2. I don't think Higgins makes it to them in the second. I think Ayamanor likely does. So if they want the big guy, they got to take Higgins here. So I know the corners drop off pretty quick, so I am going to go with Maxwell Hairston, the corner from Kentucky, to the Green Bay Packers at 23.
Yeah, I get that pick. We've done so many mocks in the last 2 days, and the corners just drop like flies at some point, dude. Like there's come like the middle of the second, it's really hard to get a corner.
Not a ton of depth after that. That puts you up at 24 at Minnesota, but I think it's time to make a trade.
We're trading in. Do.
Who's moving in for Shadur Sanders, Nicholas?
Cleveland?
Cleveland it is.
Cleveland. Yeah, I think Cleveland and him and Hunter just reconnecting. Just
Yep.
it wouldn't.
So
In no world would I take Shadur over Cam Ward, but in the world where I know I'm getting Shadur Sanders with Travis Hunter, that closes the gap just a little bit between Cam Ward and Shadur Sanders.
mhm.
Like the connection he has with Travis Hunter is just different. It's already there. It's built in, and we've seen it. And if you're giving him his security blanket at the next level, that just helps his confidence so much. With a phenomenal offensive, head coach he is, but he's such a good quarterbacks coach that Shadur could slide right into the system and flourish like Joe Flacco's done, Winston has done. Like these guys that are just really smart football players, and that's what Shadur is. He's not heavily gifted. Joe Flacco's not out here running a 4-3. Winston's not out here running the 4-3. He's legally blind. But these guys put up huge stats in the system because of the way that Stefanski runs his offense. And I think Shadur Sanders would flourish in that offense.
Mhm.
And I don't it's not that Brian Daboll can't do it, but I think like a Jackson Dart, Jalen Milroe would flourish more with a Brian Daboll in that kind of system, to where Stefanski, he likes those middle of the field
Processors.
passers. Yeah, he knows check 1, check 2, check 3, check back to 1, and if none of them open, 4's there, dink down's right there. It is what it is. I think he fits perfectly in this offense.
Yeah, Shadur Sanders to Cleveland makes a ton of sense, especially with Travis Hunter being there, and just stylistically, it's a good fit for Shadur.
And it doesn't move the Vikings back terribly far. It's only like 9 picks.
Yeah. So now Minnesota will be drafting at 33, and they got a 4th and a later round pick. I think it was like a 6 to QB tax them. So that puts Houston up at 25, and this to me is it's a chalk pick. Houston wants to change the culture of their offensive line. They moved on from Laramie Tunzel. So Tyler Booker has got a ton of comparisons to Will Anderson, who the Texans drafted last year, or 2 years ago, sorry, where he sets the culture, he sets the tempo of the defense, whereas Booker does that on the offense. Alabama speaks very highly of him. D'Amico Ryans is an Alabama alum, so it just makes sense. So we're going to get Tyler Booker here to the Texans, who need offensive line help across the board. So we're going to get a guard here at 25 for them.
He's just a culture guy, dude. Like he knows what to do and just how to keep guys accountable. He's a guy any team is going to be very lucky to have, especially later in the first round.
All right, 26, the Rams on the clock.
So now I'm up with the Rams, and I usually go cornerback for the Rams, to be honest, being Hairston or Burden, but all those guys are gone. Like we said, the cornerbacks have kind of fell off. Sure, I think Trey Amos could go first round, but I think it's a little bit too early here at 26. Benjamin Morrison, I don't think he's going to go first. Siobhan Rebel, I don't think he's going to go first. Porter, Thomas, I don't think any of these guys are left going to go first except Trey Amos. So I'm kind of looking out there. Oh, man. I don't think there's a real linebacker that's going to go. I really like Colston Loveland here, dude. What you thinking?
Thank you. I'm here just like, I got to get this guy off the board.
Well, I wasn't looking at the overall board. I was going from defense back up through.
Yeah.
So, and then I got back to the main board, and I'm like, oh, Colston Loveland's the third guy sitting here.
Yeah, the Rams get the Baltimore Ravens luxury of just having a dude fall into their laps in Colston Loveland. They brought in Devontae Adams. They have Puka Nacua still, but
that offense is crazy, dude. Stafford would be cooking, dude.
They
Kyron Williams in the backfield.
Tyler Higbee, his health is always in question. They just don't have
super question, dude.
They just don't have this
game-changing tight end
at the tight end position, and they have one here in Colston Loveland available. So that's where I would go.
And he fits so well with Adams and Puka, dude.
Yeah, and
all three of those guys would have monster seasons.
I think if he makes it to 26, I think there's a good chance the Rams bite and take him.
Yeah, I agree. For sure. That's a great pick for the Rams.
Yeah. All right, so I'm up Baltimore at 27. Gray Zabel's still on the board. I think that's where I'm going to go. Baltimore gets a really safe football player. Voorhees and Finale, they're just okay guards. They could upgrade either one of those spots. I know Zabel's not necessarily their type, but he's bigger. He's 6'6", so he's just not girthy like Daniel Finale, who's like 6'8", 340, and Andrew Voorhees is 6'6", 330. But
Yeah.
Zabel's got the size, but he's more finesse. I think he's got a better ceiling than both those guys. And the Ravens, just good football players fall to them. I think shoring up that for Lamar. I'd love to go edge, but I don't know if Baltimore is going to deal with the James Pierce stuff.
Yeah.
I don't think they touch a receiver in the first, even though Matthew Golden is a value here. But I think Gray Zabel, Baltimore's always just a sure up the trenches type team. So that's where I'm going. Zabel to Baltimore 27.
Yeah, you know how I feel about Zabel. That's a great pick. Again, Baltimore just adding guys that are going to help 5 to 8 years down the road super quietly as well. So I love that pick.
I put you up 28 with the Detroit Lions.
Still, my main gripe here with PFF is Detroit's main need being receiver. I think that is outlandishly dumb. They have Tim Patrick is their number 3, correct? And he's a very feasible wide receiver.
Receiver is in need day 2 or day 3. Like the end of day 2.
Yeah, sure, just to add a guy to the body or add a guy to the room.
But it shouldn't be listed as their primary need. I think they need guard, edge, and defensive interior more than they do a wide receiver.
For sure. For sure. Where am I looking at here for Detroit? I'm looking at edge. They would go Pierce. I think he could fit in nice with that culture. He could kind of get some good bodies around him, get some good coaches, really keep his ass in line.
Mm-hmm.
I like that a lot. I'm going to go James Pierce here. And Detroit needs guys on that defense that can close out games quick, dude. And he's so high motor. He's going to be a rotation guy for that line. And that would be perfect for him for the first 2-3 seasons, dude. Just, hey, when you're on the field, go tackle that guy right there with the ball. And he's going to be damn good at it. And Detroit's going to be winning a lot of games, dude. So we need closers. And James Pierce has that ability.
I like that. Washington here at 29. I always kind of like going Nicky Manwari here.
I like that.
Dan Quinn kind of gets this chess piece on his defense, but Matthew Golden has fallen here to 24, and I think that's where I'm going to go. Get some speed on this offense. They got Debo, but he's aging. He's not as quick as he used to be. And they have Terry McLaurin. That's pretty much it. And Terry's not a speed guy. He's a finesse, good route runner.
Yeah.
Can beat you deep. But Matthew Golden kind of stretches the field a little bit in a different way. Kind of opens up the underneath as well in the middle of the field. So I'm going to go with Matthew Golden here, 29 to Washington. I think that's a good value for them. Continue to get Jaden Daniels more weapons.
I think that would be huge for Daniels. Like, to have the 3 different receiving types. Like, Terry McLaurin's going to put you on a swivel. Golden can run past you in a heartbeat. And then Debo can do a little bit of everything. Power back, play to the slot, play out of the screen, do a little power ball. Like, that would be a crazy wide receiver room for the Commanders. I like that a lot. Puts me up here with Buffalo. Do you think the Giants should trade back in, or you think kind of just chill at 34?
I believe the Giants, I think they would attempt to make the jump back in.
I kind of agree. I don't think they kind of risk it on day 2 with their quarterback. Like, Minnesota, sure, they traded back, but you guys don't have a lot of picks. There's nothing really keeping you guys at 33 to, let's say, like, New Orleans wants to come up from 40, because, like, if you guys just want to move back another 7 spots and grab another 4th or 5th, just keep stockpiling these later picks. Nothing's really keeping you guys at 33. So I agree. I think the Giants would jump back in here with Buffalo. Yep. And we already have the ties with Buffalo. Our GM and head coach were literally on the Buffalo staff 3-4 seasons ago. So the connection's all right there. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I think because then Minnesota has 24 hours to sit and work the phones, try to get a deal like, hey, the Giants are behind us. They're probably going to go with a quarterback. Let's do business here. So, I like the Giants moving up here to 30 to get their guy.
Yes, sir.
So Bills moving back to 34, Giants up to 30, and I believe you're going with your dude, who's
I am
criminally disrespected on PFF, and that's coming from me.
Thank you. It's insane,
For
dude.
1/3, Tyler Shuck too. What is going on?
The Shuck hate on this website is insane, dude. Like it's crazy to me. But yeah, I'm going with Jackson Dart, quarterback, Ole Miss. He's, like you said, he's not the processor Shedeur is, but dude, he's a guy that could flourish in a Brian Dable offense. And Brian Dable is a quarterback guru.
Mm-hmm. Josh Allen wasn't a processor, and
exactly.
Dable made that work. And now Josh Allen is one of the better processing quarterbacks.
For sure. Allen was completely different coming out of Wisconsin, and I'm sure a good amount of our audience doesn't even Wyoming. That's what I meant. Wyoming doesn't even remember him coming out. Like he couldn't complete over 50% of his passes in college. He was literally Anthony Richardson level of completion percentage at some point in his college career, and that's horrendous. But Dable was able to mold him, and Allen was able to just flourish and keep it going because he's still amazing without Dable. So if we have a chance to have any quarterback half as talented as Josh Allen, I would be thrilled, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think this is the range where I'm content with Dart. Even Sanders, like I said in our big board episode, like I prefer them more middle to late first, and I think ultimately that's where they both settle in at.
I agree.
So 31.
I think there's a chance one of them falls out of the first at this point.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me, and
it wouldn't surprise me if one of them falls out of the first.
Yeah, so I'm up 31 here with Kansas City. Donovan Jackson's in play.
Great guard.
Connerly and Josh Simmons, I think, are also in play. But Malachi Starks is sitting here. Justin Reed, they lost him in free agency. I think they just need to upgrade the safety because they get more playmakers on that defense. I don't necessarily think Simmons and Connerly are good value here, and that's the Chiefs just seem to do that. They just keep taking tackles, and none of them really pan out. So they're moving Amagaji into guard. Kingsley Suamataia, who they drafted last year. They're sliding him into guard this year. They signed the Niners backup tackle. He's going to play left. Juwan Taylor still at right. So I'm going to kind of play the game, see if maybe a guard or tackle falls to me at 63. And I'm just going to go BPA and go Malachi Starks here, replace Justin Reed, who was a big part of that defense. And I think it is a sneaky need for the Chiefs.
Yeah, I like that pick a lot. It's definitely different. All right, so I'm up with Philly. Man, I really like going defensive line here just to keep stackpiling guys for Philly, but like I kind of predicted, the edge guys go super quick in this draft. We're looking at guys like Nick Scorton, Omar Norman, Landon Jackson, Tyreek Williams, Swinson, Alexander, Umami Ellen. I don't think any of those guys are going first. Maybe Nick Scorton, but I don't think that happens.
No, yeah, Scorton is a possibility. I think if any of the other defensive line guys kind of sneak in here, it would be our guys. Tyreek Williams for me and Darius Alexander for you.
Yeah, I agree. But I'm going to go with the one cornerback that I think could go in the first round. That's Trey Amos. I think just getting another outside corner, letting Coop room the nickel, and then that's a great cornerback class in my eyes, dude. That's 3 lockdown corners. Philly already has a really deep defense, so those pass rush guys are going to keep getting to that quarterback because no one's going to be passing on Philly, dude.
Yeah, because right now, Keely Ringo's looking to be their other outside guy with Quignon, and they brought in Adoree Jackson as well. So really, you're putting the faith in those guys, whereas the Eagles bringing in a guy like Trey Amos and ease him along to eventually take that spot maybe midway through the year or maybe right off the jump he outplays those guys. But I think Amos with Coop and Quignon really locks down the secondary for the Eagles for a long time.
A long time, dude. 3 young, great corners.
All right. Minnesota at 33, and I do not like how the board has fallen for the Vikings here to start the second round.
Board's weird, dude.
So I'm just taking my dude. The Vikings need defensive help in the secondary, and it's coming down to 2 of my favorite defensive backs. Xavier Watts, the safety from Notre Dame. Harrison Smith is 36 years old. He is on the last legs of his career. So replacing him is something that should be of need. But
Mm-hmm.
at corner, they don't have a ton of depth, whereas a guy like Savon Ravel is a perfect fit for Brian Flores.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Minnesota's always just kind of eased in, taking the guys who have fallen. They let the guys fall in their lap. And I think Ravel, if had he played this year, he wouldn't be on the board at 33.
Yeah, I agree. You don't
Um,
think Imamura is a possibility?
um, no, because I think his play style is too similar to Josh Miletus, where he plays linebacker, he plays safety, he does a little
Mm-hmm.
bit of everything. And sure, even Warrior has probably a much higher ceiling than Miletus does,
Yeah.
but I think the safety that they would be targeting is one similar to Harry, which would be Xavier Watts or Kevin Winston. Um, I would say Donovan Jackson might be in play here. The Vikings need guard help, and
I kind of like that a lot.
Tyreek Williams as well. A lot of the Vikings defensive linemen are more penetrators and push the
Mm-hmm.
pocket. They don't really have that thick guy. Like Harrison Phillips is okay, good leader, but he's not this big body guy like Tyreek Williams who could just eat up space. But I am ultimately going to go with Savon Ravel at 33 to Minnesota.
That's a great get. And yeah, like you said, if he played fully healthy this year, he wouldn't be here at 34,
Yeah.
33, wherever pick this is.
Yeah, and now Buffalo is up now. They traded back with the Giants, just like Minnesota did with Cleveland. They're up at 34, or the Bills.
The Bills. So corners, not great. Couple of them went in between the picks now. So sure, I can go Benjamin Morrison, but I think it's just a little bit early because we picked 56. He might be there at 56.
What about
Kinda
even Worry
push it.
here?
I do like Imamura. I think the Bills could easily upgrade either of their safety spots. Both are very upgradable. I believe their safeties are Harmon and Cole Bishop, I believe.
DeMar Hamlin, Cole Bishop, and Taylor Rupp. Taylor Rupp is the actual starter. Bishop kind of rotates around, and DeMar Hamlin is there. He played much better than I thought he would. But
hey, man, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but
I don't want to be that guy that just like he only kept his job because of what happened, yada yada.
Yeah.
But he really turned it around last year. He played like an actual football player.
But
I
value him more as a rotational piece than I want him in my lineup all the time.
Yeah, he's the guy to come.
Nick Scorton here. He's a Buffalo edge type.
I was looking at Scorton. Scorton would be the edge that I would take if I was going edge.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they would go Landon Jackson, Swinson. I think we're higher on him than the actual NFL. I think he's gonna go like later in round 2, maybe 3. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Nick Emmanwori here, safety from South Carolina.
All right, Nick Emmanwori, South Carolina safety.
Big downhill in the box safety.
Oh man,
great for Buffalo's defense.
The 5th ranked safety on PFF. If you put in Malachi Starks. All right, Nick Emmanwori to Buffalo. That puts me up at Tennessee here at 35, and I'm just looking at the weapons for Cam Ward. I got Luther Burden. I got Emeka Ibuka. I got Jaden Higgins, all on the board. I am salivating at the mouth if I'm the Tennessee Titans.
Yep.
So, I'm lower on Burden than the other two, but I think his talent is higher and better than the other two guys in Higgins and Ibuka. And Cam Ward is the type to kind of keep his guys in line. He's you've watched the videos with Shadur, and he's egging him on, and he's keeping him in check. And I think that's the kind of leader Luther Burden needs. Like Cam Ward's not going to let this guy mentally check out, and if he does, Luther Burden's not fit for the NFL. So I think pairing Luther Burden with Cam Ward is an exceptional start for the Tennessee Titans. So that's where I'm going at 35. Luther Burden, the third, the wide receiver from Missouri.
I love that pick. Like you brought up, Luther Burden had a little bit of attitude last year and on-field stuff. But his quarterback play dipped so much that he just checked out, and that's a huge mental issue. Like that's a flag. That's a red flag that he checked out. Because his quarterback wasn't as good as it was before, and the offense was horrendous. Cam Ward would be able to get this guy the ball with ease, dude. That's what Cam Ward does. He's so good at just running an offense and getting the ball to everybody else. I don't think Burton would have a problem with that offense, and I think he would thrive in it, to be honest.
Yeah, Cam Ward, he's going to run around, try to make a play happen, similar to that of like Patrick Mahomes, Kyler Murray. He will move around, and Luther Burton can find his spot in space, sort of like Tyreek Hill was always doing for the Chiefs. And I think that's great for him to go to Tennessee to get a leader like Cam Ward. I think that's his best route for the NFL is to go to one of these teams where he's got someone to keep him in check. So I like Burton to Tennessee. And that puts you up at 36 with Jacksonville. They went Mason Graham at 5.
Graham in the first round. So I really would have went Nick Imanware here for sure. I think that would have added a huge spark to that defense. We already hit defensive line, so I'm not really looking there. So like Abuka's here, I think that would add a ton to that offense. Him and BGJ would be nasty. I'm going to upgrade their tight end position. I think Brandon Strange is a fine number 2 tight end or a spot start kind of guy. I think Mason Taylor at the next level is going to be super productive tight end. I would personally take Elijah Arroyo. I think he's way more athletic and more explosive, but that's what Brandon Strange kind of is. He's like a bigger play tight end. Mason Taylor does everything. So I think that's a perfect combo with tight ends. And like I mentioned earlier, like Trevor Lawrence does good with bigger body dudes, and Mason Taylor has the frame and the athleticism for Trevor Lawrence to hit him in stride, hit him downfield. Super, super versatile in routes. So I think he adds a lot with BTJ, opens up the offense a bunch.
Mm-hmm.
Mason Taylor. He also has a chance to go a little bit earlier than this for sure.
All right, Mason Taylor to Jacksonville at 36. That puts me up with the Las Vegas Raiders at 37. You took Ashton Jeanty at 6 for them in the first round. Man, Emeka Ibuka with Jacoby Myers and Brock Bowers, that excites me. They need a lot of corner help. Benjamin Morrison's here. Maybe that's where we go because we know the drop-off is bound to happen, where then I'm looking, if we would do a third round, I'm looking at guys like Dorian Strong and Quincy Riley. So
yeah, I would say after Morrison, there's really only 2 cornerbacks that could possibly go in the second, and it's Darian Porter and AZ Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
But those guys are like later second round, maybe even third round guys. So Benjamin Morris is really only the top corner left at this point.
Josh Simmons still here.
Mm-hmm.
The Raiders could use a right tackle. Delmar Glaze, they drafted him last year. He could kick inside, but they seem to really like him. So I am going to go with Benjamin Morrison. I think the NFL, I think he's going to go in the top 40. I do. I think we'd be hearing more about the hip injury by now.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, it does concern me that we still haven't heard anything about the hip injury. It's one of those catch-22 situations. But
for sure,
I'm going to go with Ben Morrison to the Raiders at 37.
I love that pick, but like we still pick at 68 and 108 for the Raiders. So like if they want a receiver, there's a good amount in that range, like Jack Bash, Jalen Royals. There's so many receivers that they could just snag up there. Where cornerbacks we talked about, there's really only 2 left on the board that can go in the second round.
Yep.
I really don't see a third guy as an option.
Yeah, and that puts you up at 38 with New England. They went Will Campbell at 4.
We gotta get our guy weapons. We got him protection.
Just get his right tackle. Just keep getting him protection. Josh Simmons.
You could. That is true. I do like that a lot.
And if Will Campbell doesn't work a tackle, you got your left tackle potentially with Josh Simmons. That'd be something.
I'm looking at Ibuka and Jaden Higgins here, though. Those are the 2 guys I'm really eyeing up. Mm-hmm. They're so different, dude.
So I'll try to sway you to Higgins in that all the receivers New England have do what Ibuka does. Obviously, not as good as Ibuka does it, but they don't have a potential alpha like Jaden Higgins on that roster.
Yeah, Higgins is, I think there's a chance Higgins goes before a couple of these wide receivers just based on his body size and like his arc.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's way different than a lot of the guys in this draft class. So their tackles are Morgan Moses, who they brought in from the Jets, and Verderin Lowe.
Well, Will Campbell now in this situation.
Well, yes, but Will Campbell could kick in theoretically, where Josh Simmons cannot kick in.
Mm-hmm.
Josh Simmons is just so talented, dude. I'm like thinking of a world where Drake May has a amazing offensive line. His weapons almost don't matter.
Mm-hmm.
He will make his weapons so much better.
Yeah.
So I really have it down to Jaden Higgins or Josh Simmons. You got input?
I mean, I love Jaden Higgins, and him to New England is my favorite fit with Drake May.
It's a great fit,
but
yeah.
In what
Getting
world,
a great tackle is crazy at this point.
Getting a guy with the talent of Josh Simmons at 38 sort of outweighs that, where it's like, I'm not going to get a guy like that
And we pick at 69 and 77, we can get a receiver. It's not going to be Jaden Higgins. It can be Jack Betch, though.
Yeah, Jalen Royals, I think, would be available. Jalen Knoll.
Yeah.
As well.
I think I really got to go Simmons here and just protect the asset of Drake May.
Yeah, with the way the board has fallen, I think Mike
it's crazy that
also
Simmons is here. Yeah,
a good, and it's all off-field stuff. That's what's been coming out.
It's the off-field and the injury that's still there.
But Mike Vrabel, great coach.
But if there's also a world, if 4 years down the road we're talking that Josh Simmons is the best tackle, pure tackle in this draft,
mm-hmm.
It wouldn't surprise me. That's definitely a timeline. Like, it's a possibility where Josh Simmons is just the best tackle in this draft.
Yeah. All right. The Bears are up at 39.
Oh, I usually have the Bears back-to-backs almost, so don't mess it up, TJ.
So,
hit them good.
I'm looking at Josh Connerly here. They need a left tackle. He's on the board. I like Xavier Watts to Chicago as well. Brisker's got concussion issues. There are other safeties, so who knows what his future is. So that's a little up in the air. So Xavier Watts might be the route I go. Running backs also in play here. Trevion Henderson, Quinshon Judkins, Caleb Johnson. But I think I can hold off to that next pick. I don't know if you'll go running back to New Orleans with like Emeka Egbuka still on the board. So I am going to lean towards tackle and get a left tackle who can sit behind Braxton Jones for a year, and they can figure out if that's the route they want to go, move on from Braxton Jones. So I'm going to go with Josh Connerly to the Bears at 39.
Josh Connerly. We're not as high as him as consensus, but
no, I think
there are a lot of people that do like him a lot, and there's a chance he goes in the first round.
Goes round one. Yeah.
I agree, 100%.
Yeah, you took the pick. Josh Simmons, I was locked in. I was like, okay, Nick's gonna go weapon here at 38. Josh Simmons to Chicago at 39. But
well, see, I also thought about that. Like the Bears were going to go tackle at some point, so getting Simmons off the board, I kind of just screwed the Bears, and I kind of like playing that game a little bit.
So that puts you up at 40 with New Orleans, who went with Will Johnson, the corner, at 9.
I have it down to pretty much two people, and it's Nick Scorton, who could be an edge replacement to Cam Jordan. Mm-hmm. He's a bigger guy, and he fits that system. And Emeka Egbuka. Egbuka, it's self-explanatory. All of the receivers are constantly injured. Olave is a very scary situation. If one more bad head injury, we don't know what's going to happen to that guy.
They may have played together. I don't know.
That is true. Abuka's like a 4 or 5 year guy, so it's probably close. But to replace Cam Jordan with like a year of Cam Jordan teaching that guy, because he's gonna be retiring probably this year or next. That's so valuable for a young guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I do like that a lot. Would you go Scorton or Alexander? I know you don't like Alexander.
I don't hate it. I like Alexander.
Undraftable.
Yeah.
I get it. I get it.
I would go with Scorton.
I agree. Let's go with Scorton.
All right, Nick Scorton, Texas A&M edge rusher to the Saints at 40. Oh, look, I'm back on the clock again with the Chicago Bears.
With the Bears. Dude, these picks are so valuable for the Bears right here.
Yeah.
Like, so if they hit on their first 3 picks, they're probably a playoff team.
I'm getting my flash guy. I'm taking Trevion Henderson at
Hell yeah,
41
dude.
to the Bears. I was seeing if you would take the bite and take him to New Orleans at 40. You didn't, so I'm going
Nope.
41. Trevion Henderson, the Bears. Ben Johnson gets his flashy playmaker running back who pairs nicely with DeAndre Swift, but we know DeAndre Swift's time is there and limited because we know Ben Johnson doesn't much care for him. He's already moved on from him once. I think he'll be there this year, but I think he's going to be phased out by Trevion Henderson, who does a little bit more than DeAndre Swift really can bring forth to the table. So I like Henderson to Chicago at 41.
Yeah, for sure. Henderson is usually one of those picks I try to lock in with one of those Bears picks. So valuable for Ben Johnson, dude. That would be crazy.
Yeah. So 42, the New York Jets are on the clock. They went with Tyler Warren in the first.
You got Warren, you got Justin Fields, some help. So I'm looking at guys like, obviously.
You don't want to get another Ohio State receiver in the room there?
I'm looking at Ibuka, for sure. Ibuka is 100% on the board. I like Ontari Ursary here a lot. I like Alexander. I like Tyreek Williams. So I'm looking at one of the interior line guys, and they're two completely different kind of guys.
Mm-hmm.
To where I think they would lean Tyreek because they have what's his face. I'm 100% blanking on
Quinnen Williams.
Yes, who is a fast, twitchy kind of defensive tackle. But dude, their receivers are garbage after Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, it's Alan Lazard and Malachi Corley.
Yeah, who I loved last year, but I hope to God he pans out a little bit better because last season was.
You get Ohio State receiver Garrett Wilson, pair him with Ohio State receiver Emeka Ibuka for Ohio State quarterback Justin Fields.
And then for Iowa State's running back, Bryce Hall.
Nope, and then they just trade Breece Hall and draft Quinshon Judkins in the third.
Draft Quinshon Judkins.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go Emeka Ibuka. Let's just keep the Jets draft fancy.
Yeah. Honestly, if you didn't take Ibuka there, I was heavily putting him into consideration here for San Francisco at 43.
They do need receivers, but like the draft capital of Ricky Pearsall last year. Yeah. And I honestly think Jawan Jennings is a really sneaky fantasy football player value this year.
Yeah. So this team needs defensive line help, and Tyreek Williams is here. So that is probably where I'm leaning. Omar Norman Law and Darius Alexander give them a little more juice, a little more creativity for Robert Saleh. So that's also in play. Team needs corners. They do play some man. They play more man than anyone else really in the league. So AZ Thomas is in play. I wouldn't even rule out Ariante Ursary, even though we went with Armin Membu in the first. Membu could play right. Ursary, perfect to sit a year behind Trent Williams because eventually that dude is going to retire.
Yeah.
So Ursary's a good fit there for him. I
would say the first probably 2 or 3 picks ago really opened up the Ursary window. I think he's going to be because there's a chance Connery goes in the first. We're just undervaluing him a little bit, but I think Ursary's value is extremely high come the second round.
Donovan Jackson probably in play here as well. Aaron Banks was a free agent, so he left. So they do have an opening at guard.
I think getting Donovan Jackson here would be a crazy value to really just keep Brock Purdy up, and then we pick again here at 75 for the Niners and 100 and 113.
Yeah, the board fell really nice for San Francisco.
For sure.
In both rounds. So I am going to keep shoring up that offensive line, protect Brock Purdy. I'm going to go with Donovan Jackson at 43, the guard from Ohio State. That puts you up with Dallas at 44. In the first, they went with Teterow and McMillan, the wide receiver from Arizona. So what are you looking at here for the Cowboys?
I was really hoping Donovan Jackson was going to be there. I'm not going to lie to you. I think Tate Rutledge could be a possibility, but we pick again at 76 for the Cowboys. So theoretically, not in this round, but the third round, Tate Rutledge might be there. So I don't know if they would go guard here necessarily. The running backs are good value, being like Judkins. I think I think that adds like Dallas. I'm not saying it's the same coaching staff, but like the Zeke connection in the Ohio State, like that's just a thing that Dallas is always going to remember. That Zeke was just able to be on the field every single down. I think Judkins has that ability. Oh man, but I kind of want to go like defense, dude. They've lost a lot on the defensive side of the ball. I'm not huge on Landon Jackson. I think this is way too early. I think it's too early for Swinson and Umami Ellen. Oh, this isn't a good board for the Cowboys. I could tell you that much.
So, could I sway you into Tyleek Williams? I know they drafted Mozzie Smith a few years ago to kind of be that
Guy's a
space-eating
bum, dude. Not Tyleek. Mozzie Smith's
that's
a
why,
bum, dude.
But they brought back Ozadewo. I think that's his name. And he's more the flashy defensive interior guy like Darius Alexander and Omar Norman Lott, whereas Mozzie Smith just hasn't panned out. So a space eater like Tyleek Williams, I think Dallas just continues to go the route of taking big body guys and hope one of them pays off. I think that's an option here. I also wouldn't rule out someone like Carson Schlesinger.
Yeah, for sure. I just think it's a little bit too early for Schlesinger. Just a little bit. Quality audio coming from our ends. Yeah, let's go with Tyreek Williams. You got to get a replacement for Mozzie Smith. He did not pan out. Tyreek Williams has the abilities that he does not, so he's a great line stopper.
Yeah. All right, so I'm up here with the Colts at 45. You went Donovan Ezeraku in round 1. I like the idea of Elijah Arroyo here.
I like that a lot.
But I think I'm going to go with Carson Schlesinger.
Okay.
The Colts just really like those really athletic, just move around linebackers, and I think it gives them just an extra piece on this defense that needs help. And I think this pairs well. He reunites with college teammate Laiatu Latu. I think he's a good pairing with Donovan Ezeraku as well. So I think Schlesinger is going to go early than we think he's going to go. I think he is going to go in the top 50. So I like him to Indianapolis here at 45.
I like Knight way more than him.
Like, I agree. I do too, but Demetrius Knight, he's 25.
He's an older guy for sure. They're different kind of linebackers for sure too.
So Atlanta now up at 46. They went Mike Green at 15. Where are you looking at here for the Falcons?
Interior line. We already went edge. You
got your boy Darius Alexander here.
I do like that a lot. I was looking at interior guys. And after him, it's kind of like, yeah, sure, you got TJ Sanders and CJ West, but I think those guys are going to go later. I'm not as high as Omar Norman Lott here as PFF. Rank 34 is kind of outlandish to me. I'm not going to lie to you.
I was going to say, I have him at 69, and I'm higher on him than you are, and I
got him at like 80-something, so yeah, for sure. I'm going to go with Darius Alexander. I'm just going to keep building that defensive line for Atlanta. That like they're so set on offense. And I get that this draft probably isn't going to happen. They're probably going to draft a wide receiver in the first, a tight end in the second, and then running back in the third. I get it. That's just how Atlanta drafts. They don't care about need. They don't care about the trenches at all. But for the love of God, please build your trenches, Atlanta, especially in this draft. This is what this draft is. Build it. And we've now walked away with 2 defensive linemen for them. And I think they could walk out with a fucking another one with their... They only have 5 picks.
Yeah, they could use a center. I think they could
pick 3 defensive linemen.
Yeah. All right. Cardinals at 47. We went with Jahdae Barron at 16. So, again, defensive lineman in play here.
Yeah, I think Alexander would have been nice here for sure.
Yeah, that's who I was eyeing.
That's their kind of guy.
Yeah. What's the offensive line looking like? Tackle and guard. Ursery's still here. Interior, Tate Ratledge. Marcus Bowe, my dude.
About one of the safeties.
Yeah, who's their other safety with Budda Baker?
I did have their depth chart open. Hold on.
So I think Kevin Winston would be the perfect pairing for a guy like Buda Baker, whereas Buda Baker's sort of similar to Xavier Watts, big play.
Jalen Thompson.
Okay, that doesn't help me.
He was
sorry, Jalen Thompson, disrespecting him on the pod.
drafted in the 5th. Or is that the year's experience? No, this is 5th year.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna go with Kevin Winston Jr. to the Cardinals at 47. Get another safety to pair with Buda Baker. Get some more playmakers on that defense. Continue to build that secondary now with Jedi Barron and now Kevin Winston Jr. And that puts you up that 48 with Miami with Walter Nolan there in the first round. Where are you looking at here?
Back to the Arizona pick, though. Like, we talked about Jod Barron on the cornerback episode. He's way better when he knows he has a safety helping him out. And now it doesn't matter what side he's on. Makuba. I was going to try to get you to take Makuba, but you took Winston. But knowing to have safety on the back end, that's now he has Buda Baker and Winston. He's going to be comfortable. He's going to be able to roam free and play his best ball. So I think whoever gets Barron picking a safety, if they don't have two good ones already, huge help for that guy.
Yeah.
All right. So we were at Miami and we went interior line.
Yeah. Walter Nolan.
We're looking at cornerbacks and we're looking at interior offensive line. Cornerbacks really only Darian Porter and AZ Thomas. Thomas only plays man. Dolphins play a lot of zone. That's what Porter plays. So if I'm going corner, I'm going Porter. I really like Tay Ratledge here, dude.
Do it.
The next pick's not till 98. He's not going to be there.
Mm-mm.
Oh, but Ursery's there, dude. Tay Ratledge could play this year for sure. They need a guard this year.
Yeah, they need a left guard. They need a right tackle.
So the question would be if they think Ursery can slide to right. He hasn't played right. Or if
Patrick Paul can play right. But they have Austin Jackson there currently, but he can be voided after next year. So he's pretty much on a one-year deal.
Yeah. So it just more comes down to if you want to take Ursery and kind of sit him for a year, or if you want Tay Ratledge to play instantly right off the bat.
Ursery's a good enough athlete to fit the Dolphins system, so I think
for sure
he can move. So
that adds a lot of value to that.
Yeah, and honestly, him at right tackle, he's protecting the left-handed quarterback. I think that's better for Tua than Austin Jackson or Patrick Paul there. But Tate Ratledge experience, real good plug and play right from the start. I just don't know if he's the athletic enough to play the Miami inside.
To be able to pull and hit the next level.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm going to lock in Ursery here, dude. His value in the second is so good. You could possibly get one of the better tackles in the draft. We're talking about pick 50 almost.
Yeah. All right, Cincinnati at 49. They went with Shamar Stewart, the edge rusher, at 17, and I'm locking in this pick. This one's easy. Xavier Watt, the safety from Notre Dame. The new Bengals defensive coordinator, Al Golden, was the Notre Dame defensive coordinator last year, so he's familiar with Xavier Watt. The Bengals defense has always thrived more when they had a big playmaking safety, which they do not have currently, and Xavier Watt makes big plays, ton of interception, good ball skills. So I like Watts to Cincinnati at 49.
I'm going to put you on the spot and say you didn't give him to Arizona because you wanted to bring up the fact that Cincinnati's defensive coordinator is Notre Dame's old defensive coordinator.
No, that's not why.
I don't believe you.
Similar, I was trying to find an opposite safety to Buda Baker, and I think Kevin Winston is more that type than Xavier Watts.
All right, so Seattle's up. We went with Kelvin Banks. He kind of gives you tackle guard versatility.
Hey, can I talk you into Jaden Higgins here?
I honestly thought you were about to run another ad break on Seattle's picks because it happened last time. I'm like, he's going to run the W ad again on Seattle's picks.
Got to make up for it because we didn't do it last time.
What were you going to bring up, though?
Would I talk you into Jaden Higgins here?
Yeah, for sure. I think a receiver is a real possibility for Seattle.
He is the receiver they don't have.
Yeah, they have Cooper Kupp and JSN, Jackson Smith, and Jigba. they don't have the guy that can go up and body a cornerback. They got
And,
guys that
like,
are going to be quick, intermediate kind of stuff.
I don't think Jaden Higgins makes it here in real life, but he made it here today, and
I mean, I'll make an
it's a
agreement with
no-brainer
you.
pick.
I'll make an agreement with you. You're going to promise me you're not going to go Tate Ratledge with that next pick there.
Denver? No,
Yeah.
I won't take.
Good, because
Tate
then I can
Ratledge.
snag Ratledge or even Wilson, grab one of his
'cause
offensive
if
linemen
Jaden
probably.
Higgins is there for Denver, I'm picking him.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with Higgins here for Seattle. I do like them bringing in a weapon. I was also looking at Elijah Arroyo. I think them upgrading tight end is a huge possibility as well. I just think getting Sam Darnold some type another weapon is a big key in this draft.
Mm-hmm.
You got to solidify your offensive line. You got to protect him, and then you got to get guys that can go in there and get the higher catched balls. Cooper Kupp and JSN are not going to do that. So like Arroyo, Jaden Higgins, guys like that can get up and above a defense. So
Yeah,
I like that.
Denver at 51. They went Omarion Hampton in the first at 20. I'm looking at Omar Norman Lott here. Denver's defensive interior, a lot of expiring contracts coming up. So I'm going to get them a flashy playmaker on the interior who could create havoc, be part of a good rotation. Sean Payton loves rotating in his defensive line. I considered Landon Jackson here as well. Same with Braden Swinson. I think they're good scheme fits for Denver, but ultimately I'm going to get a flashy interior guy in Omar Norman Lott, 51 to Denver.
Hell yeah.
And I put you back on the clock with Seattle.
Back up with the Seahawks. So I'm looking at Tate Ratledge and then his running mate, Jared Wilson. Jared Wilson's a really twitchy one-year starter at Georgia. Good center. He's going to have a really good productivity career. Tate Ratledge is a dog. He's an animal. So my mindset here is if we're kicking Kelvin Banks in at guard, we still need a center. Tate Ratledge isn't going to play center where Jared Wilson's going to play center. But now can we just play both Ratledge and Banks at both our guard spots?
I mean, you need a left guard still, too.
But that's what I'm saying. But
Yeah.
we got to snag a center. So, Seth McLaughlin, whatever his Ohio
Seth
State
McLaughlin.
centers.
I like Jake
He's a
Majors,
good late
too,
around
Texas center.
Texas center, yes.
Marcus Bowe could probably play center. You might be able to nab him in the third.
That's my thing. I think we pick again at 82 here for the Seahawks in the third round if we were doing more mocks. I'm not guaranteeing Jared Wilson being there, but his ADP is 82.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's a chance he could fall to us at 82 to where Tate Ratledge is a dog. He's going to go way earlier than his ADP here on PFF. So, I'm going to lock in Tate Ratledge here.
All right, Tate Ratledge to the Seahawks at 52. That puts me on the clock with Tampa Bay. They went with Jihad Campbell.
Man, I got the Packers up next. Oof.
Yeah. Start studying.
My mic, you're on your own. Yep.
Yeah. All right, Bucks went with Jihad Campbell, so we got a nice, piece there for Todd Bowles to work around. But I'm still looking on the defensive line here for the Bucks. So I'm looking at Princely Umamielen. I'm looking at Braden Swinson. I'm looking at Landon Jackson. They brought in Hassan Reddick on a 1-year deal. So he's not the answer long-term for them. So I am looking at getting more of juice to pairs perfectly with Hassan Reddick. And that would be Princely Umamielen here at 53 to Tampa Bay, Ole Miss edge rusher. We brought up during the Edge episode that we think he's a guy who could come into the league right now, get double-digit sacks off the bat, and just be your designated pass rusher and be a guy who's you're going to look at his box score and be like, man, this guy's got a ton of sacks, but not a lot elsewhere as he continues to develop as a full-time edge player. And I think this is the perfect situation for him. I know they drafted Chris Braswell last year in the second, but he's a little bit different of a player, and Yaya Diaby's really good as well. But I think this is the perfect replacement to eventually take over for Hassan Reddick next year. So I'm going Princely Umamielen to Tampa Bay at 53.
Sweet. I was really hoping you didn't take my edge rusher because that's where I'm going with Green Bay.
Right, taking Landon Jackson.
I'm not.
He's their type. That's why I said
we went Maxwell Harrison in the first round.
Can't talk you into Alec Ayumaner.
No. I mean maybe, but no. I'm going with JTT He is also their type. He's 6'5", 270. I think he has better NFL pass rush ability than Landon Jackson. We've talked about my opinion on Landon Jackson. He does nothing naturally. He looks like a robot out there. He's a goof. To where I think JTT he's going to average like 6 to 8 sacks a season, maybe a spike season here or there. But Green Bay's defensive line is just abysmal. They cannot pressure a quarterback if a game truly depended on it, because games do depended on it, and they still couldn't do it. So I think I get Landon Jackson has a higher ceiling, but I think they need a guy that can go in there right now, tomorrow, and just start producing. And that's JTT with the guys that are on the board.
All right, so JT Tuimoloau out of the Packers at 54. That puts me up with the Chargers at 55. You went Kenneth Grant at 22. So I like the idea of Landon Jackson or Braden Swinson here, but I'm going to get Elijah Arroyo, the tight end from Miami, here for Justin Herbert. You passed on Colston Loveland in the second, and now the board has fallen nicely for the Chargers with Elijah Arroyo sitting here at 55. So he's the pick here for the Bolts. Sure up that tight end room. And that puts you up now. Buffalo at 56. They went with Nick Emanwari in a trade down. So this is the second of their 3 second-round picks in our little mock here. And you made them all.
I have. I've had Buffalo constantly. So I hated the corner board for Buffalo, both positions, to where now Darian Porter and AZ Thomas are here, and I'm comfortable picking one of them here at 56. I do not want to risk one of them not being there at 62. That's when they pick again. So I'm just going to go here and pull the trigger on, I'm going to go with, I really wish I knew Buffalo's playing system, because that would be huge.
I got you.
That's just Google, and we would have to do during the podcast. So now let's just keep talking. So if it's not one of those guys, we went with Nick Emanwari, so like that helps the defensive backs. So I would be looking at edge guys, and you got guys like Landon Jackson, who I'm not high on, but I think the NFL is going to be a little bit higher on. Brandon Swinson, Femi Uwadeja, who is a very good trades guy. You let me know when you're ready.
Buffalo plays a mix. Wide zone is predominantly their defensive scheme, but they do play some wide man.
Okay, so yeah, let's go with Darian Porter. They have the same ADP. It's literally 62.5. But Darian Porter is the more zone guy. AZ Thomas is a straight man-on-man guy. He struggles a lot with zone. Darian Porter, I think, has a super high ceiling. Converted receiver to cornerback, so he plays cornerback like a receiver. Super big bodies, like 6'2". Super good at high pointing the ball. He adds a ton to that Buffalo defense.
Yeah, and that would have been my pick here for the Panthers, Darian Porter. Nice. So got to reconfigure here. Panthers, we went with Jalen Walker in the first. I want to get this team a receiver, but Jack Bech kind of does what all the other receivers on this team do. So I'm not looking that way. Oh, kind of might go with a safety, but no, both those are off the board. I don't like Makuba here this early. So the board has not been nice to the Carolina Panthers. So, man, Alec Ayumaner is the type of receiver they need. I'm just lower on him.
He's a bigger body, for sure.
Yeah. So that might be the route we go here for them.
Think Makuba's an option?
No, I think it's too early for Makuba. Oh, TJ Sanders still on the board?
Yes.
Oh, I'm just going BPA. I'm just keeping this line built up. With Bobby Brown, they got Derek Brown. They brought in Trevor Wharton. We brought in Jalen Walker here in this draft. I'm just going to shore up this defensive unit and bring in TJ Sanders so we can have a solid rotation. I think that's a really good pick here for the Panthers.
Yeah, I like TJ Sanders a lot.
And then look at the third round and possibly maybe bringing in Demetrius Knight, or maybe if Alec Ayumaner does fall to the third, I bite the bullet there on him if we were doing that. And that puts you up with Houston at 58. And they went with Tyler Booker in round
They
one.
went with, guard Tyler Booker. So you could definitely look at the tackles here still, but they're not really. You got Ozzy Trapilo, but I think it's a tad bit early. You got Mabo, which just a little bit early, but I think he's going to play guard inside. I don't think he's going to play tackle. You got Big Jonah. I think he's going to be playing guard. So I'm not looking at a tackle here. Sure, you could use one. I just don't think it's an option.
Mm-hmm.
Receiver, definitely. I think Jack Besh could fit in here. Jalen Royals could fit in nice. Kyle Williams adds speed.
Well,
They brought in
Jalen
Chris.
Noel. He's disrespected here on
For
PFF's
sure. I think
big board.
I think there's a chance Jalen Mole slips to the third just based on his size and
Okay.
the NFL. Not like I think I love Jalen Mole way more than the NFL I think is going to. Like I think there's a chance Troy Horton goes before Jalen Noel just based on his size and what he can do. I really like Troy Horton. I think he could possibly go back into the second, early third as well. I really hate picking for Houston here. I hate the edge guys. Brandon Swinston's a possibility for
sure.
Could
I interest you in a trade?
Who is trading up for what?
How about the Los Angeles Rams for Jalen Milroe?
You know, I don't hate that. I don't hate that. Yeah.
Yeah, so the Rams, they don't pick again until 90, so it's kind of a far drop for the Texans, but we'll look 58. I would think you're getting a second next year and another pick, maybe 127. 127, 90, and a second in 2026 for 58. And then, throw in a later round pick somewhere, 241.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
I don't have the draft chart in front of me, but I think that seems like a fair deal, but that's semantics. But that puts the Rams now on the clock, where I think it's a little easier of a pick for you to make.
Yeah, for sure. And that gives them their quarterback for the future to develop behind Matt Stafford and that loaded offense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which you set up nicely with Colston Loveland.
For sure.
Earlier. So stocking it up for Jalen Milroe to eventually take over. All right, that puts me up here with Baltimore. We went with Gray Zabel in the first. I'm going Braden Swinson here for the Ravens. Get them an edge rusher who plays a little dirty. He does all the dirty work you want for an edge rusher. 3-4, I think, hand in the dirt kind of guy who could do a little stand up, give you a little bit of everything. I think he's a Ravens type player. I like Swinson here to Baltimore at 59.
I like that. I like that a lot.
And that puts you up here, Detroit at 60.
Detroit at 60. So, all right, where'd we go in the first?
James Pierce. James Pierce Jr. in the first.
Great edge rusher. So I'm looking at linebackers. I think Knight could go.
So I know you don't like receiver as a need for them, but you don't think Jack Besh really fits this football team?
Yeah. But he's kind of like a bigger Amon-Ra.
Yeah.
But there's nothing wrong with that at all. But Detroit makes weird draft picks. They're like overdraft linebackers. And
Detroit also plays a ton of man. They actually play the most man in the league. So Azareye'h Thomas, I know they drafted Enos Rakestraw last year, but he didn't really see the field. Terry Arnold, and they brought in DJ Reed. So corner's not necessarily a need, but
yeah.
They were depleted last year. Like they'd lost everybody due to injury. So
super depleted all over their defense. And I really liked Rakeshaw coming out. So if I would take a corner, I would just feel like I'm doing that guy dirty. I think they're going to give him a chance this year.
Mm-hmm.
They seem to kind of like to develop guys like they did with Jamison Williams. If they're not ready, they have no gripe just sitting the guy until he is ready. Like you mentioned that their defense was depleted. And I think Demetrius Knight adds a ton to that room. they need guys, and Demetrius Knight's ADP's around here, and I think he could fall into the back end of the second.
Mhm.
But Detroit has no problems overdrafting linebackers.
Yeah.
They did it 2 years ago or 3 years ago when they took what's
Jack
his face in
Campbell.
the first round. Jack Campbell with the same year they took Gibbs in the first. They picked a running back and a linebacker in the first round and had no gripes about it. So I'm going to go Demetrius Knight, linebacker, South Carolina.
All right. Solid pick there for the Lions at 60. That puts Washington on the clock. They went Matthew Golden there in the first. So I'm looking at defense here. Azareye'h Thomas is in play if they are a man team. So I would lean him because Marshawn Lattimore's there and his legs weren't under him.
Yeah, he's not the same guy he was
at the end
dude.
of last year. So, and then, they haven't had any luck with their corners in the past with, freaking Emmanuel Forbes going there. Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is a man team. Nickel, they play press. Yeah. So Azareye'h Thomas here at 61. Get some bodies in this corner room. They lost Benjamin St. Juste. He was a free agent. He moved on. Like I said, Marshawn Lattimore, he's not the long-term solution. So Azareye'h Thomas fell into the lap here of the Washington Commanders. So that's where they're going at 61.
And Dan Quinn doesn't care about testing. Like, he will get the most out of AZ Thomas no matter what. That's just kind of the guy Dan Quinn is. So that's a great fit in my eyes.
Yeah. So you're back up again with Buffalo for the third time.
With Buffalo.
Nicky Manwari
surprise.
At 34, the safety. Darian Porter, the corner, at 56. So now you're up here at 62 with the Bills.
Oh, man, I really want to get some of these receivers going, but like Jack Besh isn't really a fit here. Kyle Williams, Jalen Knoll, not really. They already have that kind of guy. Like Savion Williams would be a decent fit here, but I don't want him to go over any of these other guys, so I don't think that's going to happen.
Do you think there's a chance they get ahead of the game and get Quinshon Judkins? James Cook's contract's coming up. He wants a ton of money. Judkins is the opposite of James Cook. I know they drafted Ray Davis, so running back is not a pressing need, but just something to maybe put in the back of your head as a possibility.
Yeah, I don't hate it, but like Buffalo just seems so content with getting running backs and plugging them in. Like they do with Ty Johnson, and Ray Davis looked amazing last year on the games he got to play. But Quinyon Judkins is a different athlete, dude. Like he's most likely not going to be here at this pick, to be honest. He's probably going to go like mid-second round in my eyes. But that's just sometimes how the board falls, and running back needy teams, they're not going to take them. We'll just wait. But there's definitely a possibility or a timeline where Judkins does fall to the third.
Alfred Collins, Buffalo needs a big-bodied guy to stick in that defensive line. They have Ed Oliver, who's a little more flashy, a little twitchier type guy, so they could use a pairing there of a big-bodied person. I think Landon Jackson's their type as well.
Landon Jackson here, yeah. I'm kind of looking at Landon Jackson, and he is obviously better than like quote for quote better traits than all these guys that are left, and he does have high potential upside at rushing the quarterback at the next level if he kind of just puts everything together. I'm going to go with Landon Jackson here to Buffalo.
All right,
they just keep going defense, and they're just stacking it up, dude.
All right, Kansas City up here. They went Malachi Starks in the first round. So I'm looking. Jared Wilson's not a guard, so he's kind of out of the question. So interior board didn't fall. I played the game. I fuck around, and I found out. My guy Marcus Bowe's here, and Big Jonah.
I think Big Jonah's a good pick,
but I think he's similar to Kingsley. They could lock up Trey Smith. Maybe they look at Ozzie Trapillo to be the right tackle. Juwan Taylor probably not there next year. I think the NFL is going to be higher on Trapillo. It wouldn't surprise me if he goes round 2.
I agree.
So I think that's where I'm going. I'm going to get them a tackle, and Trapillo's not going to make it. I know they pick at the top of the third, but there's a chance Philly could snag him there.
They pick 66. They pick
yeah.
like 3 spots. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with Ozzy Trapillo, just get it out of the way and get a right tackle to eventually replace Juwan Taylor.
I like that. I like that a lot.
And final pick, Philadelphia at 64.
You want to move New Orleans into the spot?
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that guy.
Uh-huh. As did I. I forgot to pick him at that spot in between the Bears. That's on me.
Yeah.
We set out and picked our quarterback spots, and we still somehow forgot to get Tyler Shuck drafted.
I blame PFF having him at like 160.
Yeah, I just forgot about him 100%. But
yeah, so the Saints going to move up here and get their guy.
Philadelphia a couple spots.
Loves wheeling and dealing anyways.
Exactly. So the Saints pick at 71, so Philly's only dropping back 6 spots.
Yeah, so we'll get them a 4 next year. 71 and like
the Eagles will just be stockpiling picks for no reason. They don't need them.
Yeah, 258. There we go. Saints now on the clock for you.
Tyler Shuck, dude.
Yeah.
One of the best pure throwers in the draft, dude. You get him in a dome, there's no wind, no weather. He's going to be wheeling and dealing that ball, dude. It's going to be beautiful.
He could play this year.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah. He's like a 6-7 year college athlete. Yeah. It's insane. When you like really like look at his college career, it is out of this world insane.
All right, there we go. 2-round mock in the books. I am not going to recap the whole draft. What? I'll leave it on the screen here, kind of scroll as we wrap up this long episode here of the podcast.
Last one before the draft, dude. This is
our final mock. So I think it went well, other than forgetting about Tyler Shuck. I also forgot about him. We should have got him in. We should have moved him up to when we moved Houston, but I was too locked in on Jalen Milroe. And then Jalen Milroe, that could have been the trade here. The Rams move up to Philly.
When you brought up the trade for Milroe, and I'm like, oh shit, I forgot to draft Tyler Shuck.
But yeah, there we go. Draft
2 rounds.
2 rounds in the books, and drafts a couple days away. Like we did it. This is it.
We're done for this week.
Yeah,
just so everyone's aware. We'll be back next week after the draft.
Yep. Yeah, and we'll do some draft recap, and then look to do draft grades probably 2 weeks, 3 weeks from now. Kind of. Really absorb the class before we just go ahead and give out grades. So
I figured we'd do the recaps by either AFC or NFC, or just split the draft into 2, do 1 through 16, or 1 through 15, then 16 through 32.
Yeah, or
it depends. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, even do day 1, day 2, and then do day 3. But we'll figure it out. Yeah. But here we go. Drafted Up podcast. It's in the books. 2-round mock draft. So there you go. You guys got it there. Thanks as always for listening. You know where to find us at @draftedup_pod over on Twitter. But the show, Spotify, Apple, wherever you find your podcast will be there. And you can watch it over on YouTube. Search Drafted Up Podcast, like, rate, subscribe, review, all that good stuff. We appreciate all the support.
Hell yeah.
As we continue to grow the product here. And then, of course, support our friends over at W Energy. Drafted Up for your code for a nice 10% discount on a great product. So there it is. We'll see you guys next week with actual draft results, which I can't wait. I am excited.
Cannot wait to talk about the actual draft. Not hypothetically. We will have answers in a very short time, and I am so excited for it, dude. This is the best time of the year.
Yes,
this is our holiday. I literally took off work for Thursday and Friday. I am so ready to grind and watch this draft, dude. I am hyped.
Yep. That's Nick. I'm Theo. We're the Drafted Up Podcast. We're out of here. Adios.
Bye.